So I'm actually a little bit starstruck because I listen to Adam's podcast every morning going to work. So you probably don't know this, but he's a...
Hate him to say.
Yes. Okay, so dear friends, it's fantastic to see you all here in Copenhagen. Sophia, great to see you, my friend. First of all, I want to thank you, Sophia, and the Danish presidency for bringing us here. It shows a real motivation to build European momentum behind this issue. Over the next days, you will hear many different experiences from many different countries, cities, and regions. There will be a lot to take on board. So, before we begin, I think it would be helpful to step back and take a look at the bigger picture. In the most basic terms, we're here to discuss Europe's housing crisis. But when we talk about the crisis, what are we really talking about? It's more than bricks and mortar. It's more than supply and demand. Really, we're talking about basic rights, dignity, about the cohesion of our communities, the building blocks of our society, the competitiveness of our economy. We're talking about the very heart of our democracy in Europe. Because people see democracy in their towns, the city halls, on the TV screen, but they feel it in their homes. It's the feeling of security, of togetherness, of belonging. But right now, in homes across Europe, we see different feelings. Across Europe, there is a palpable feeling of injustice, especially among our young people. The ones who cannot afford the rent they're being charged. The ones who cannot get a place to call home. Student forced to turn down their college place. Young people forced to put off starting a family. In Europe, over 1 in 4 people between the ages of 15 to 29 live in overcrowded conditions. In many countries, young people have to live with their parents until they're over 30 years of age because they cannot afford a home of their own. This cannot continue. Across Europe, there is a feeling of despair among millions of families. 47 million citizens cannot afford to heat their homes adequately. 47 million in Europe. This is totally unacceptable. There are teachers and nurses, firefighters and police officers, the people who look after our communities that cannot afford to live in the societies that they serve. This cannot continue. Across Europe, there's a feeling of abandonment amongst our vulnerable citizens. Over 1 million people in Europe have no place to call home. They're homeless, including 400,000 children. I've seen studies about toddlers who are not meeting their development targets because they're growing up in hotel rooms. They don't have a room to call their own. This cannot continue. There are too many stories like this across Europe, but they're not only stories. I've seen many of these things, of course, as you have, with my own eyes. I'll give you one example. Earlier this year, I visited a housing project in Paris, an area with a large share of vulnerable people. Now, of course, fortunately, people are taking action. It's being regenerated. With renovated homes that are modern, affordable, and energy efficient, with new schools and cultural centers to bind the communities together, I saw firsthand the impact it had on families, young people and teenagers, the new foundation that it provided, the new perspectives it opened. These can be stories we tell in Europe if we choose. This can be the story of housing in Europe if we want it to be. But we have to make a change. We have to make a choice. Do we continue a cycle of boom followed by bust, of crashes followed by crisis? Or do we break free of this cycle? Do we take a new path? Do we change the story of housing in Europe? President von der Leyen has called for a European effort on housing. And today I stand before you and ask each of every one of you to join this effort. In the coming months, I will put forward an affordable housing plan for Europe. This plan will not only outline how the EU can make an impact, but how we can work together through European, national, regional and local actions to make affordable, sustainable and decent housing a reality for all citizens. Let me set out the pillars of our plan, the foundations of a new future for housing in Europe. Together, we will unleash a new wave of investments. First, by injecting more EU funds. We are already working with member states to double the support for housing under the cohesion policy. And our proposal for the next long-term budget will make it easier for member states, cities and regions to direct more EU funds towards affordable housing. Second, by loosening the strings on national spending. President von der Leyen has committed to the revision of state aid rules for housing projects, and I will work with my colleague Vice President Ribera to deliver on this. But we know that public funds alone cannot meet the scale of our housing needs. Private investments must play a role, and a vital role. There's ample room for investments that balance steady returns with social responsibility. But there is no room in Europe for selfish speculation on the basic needs like our homes. We will therefore take action to target the financialization of our housing stock. And we will unlock new alternative financing models and deeper collaboration between public and private investments. The Pan-European Investment Platform, which I'm working on with the European Investment Bank, national promotional banks, and other financial institutions, is a very important step. By channeling more investments through platforms like this, we can deliver the best results for social housing, student residences, and affordable and sustainable homes. But, of course, money won't solve all of our problems. That's why our plan will also include practical steps that make it easier for member states, cities and regions to deliver affordable and sustainable housing where it is needed, whether it's new, renovated or new purposed. To achieve this, we need to revise rules and cut red tape. When it comes to planning, permitting and procurement, it is time to bulldoze through all unnecessary barriers, whether they come from Brussels or member states. We need to unleash the full potential of our single market, to unlock more building materials, more innovation and technologies, more skills and more labor. Let me give you some concrete figures. Every hour in Europe, we produce over 18,000 tons of cement. Every hour. Every year, we produce around 170 million cubic meters of wood for construction. We have over 27 million workers in the sector: carpenters, bricklayers, engineers, electricians. It is time to mobilize these people and these resources and use them to their full potential. Our plan will also include specific and significant steps to support cities and regions under pressure. One of these steps will be new legislation on short-term rentals. This issue has been brought up constantly since my appointment. I fully understand that it is a complex issue. I therefore resolve to address it firmly, but fairly. We will not forget those most deeply impacted by the housing crisis: our young people, our families, and those without a home. We will put forward concrete, ambitious actions to ensure that access to affordable, decent housing is not a privilege for the few, but a fundamental right for all. Dear friends, to solve this crisis, we need to harness every solution at our disposal. That's why a core part of this plan will be to support the exchange of best practices, solutions that have worked in one part of Europe and can just as well work in another. For example, we have cities in Europe that are effectively combating homelessness, not through magic or miracles, but through pragmatic steps that can be replicated. We need to share and adapt these solutions to each and every city in Europe. We will also continue to take practical steps to cut down the costs of living through actions that we know will work, like delivering a high-performing housing stock for Europe, like ensuring our residential buildings are as modern and as efficient as possible, insulating our homes so that they don't waste energy and money. These are just some of the ways that Europe can make a difference. Throughout the year, we've been building our affordable housing plan together. We've been collecting and combining from experts and stakeholders, public representatives, and the public themselves. And at this conference, you will have a prime opportunity to have your say. If you have a solution that you feel should be a part of the plan, that would benefit not only your community, but communities across Europe, now is the time to share it. Once this plan has been prepared, our full energy will go towards implementing it, delivering it as quickly and competently as possible, benefiting as many citizens as we can. Dear friends, this crisis presents a fundamental challenge for our society and a defining test for our European democracy. Yet it is a challenge we can meet. It is a test we can pass. It is a crisis we can overcome. If we use all of the practical solutions at our disposal, if we call on the unity and the ingenuity of Europe, the qualities that have got us out of so many crises before, if together we take it upon ourselves to make a change, to show leadership, to demonstrate moral and political courage. This will not be easy, but none of us entered politics because we wanted to do what was easy. We entered politics because we wanted to do what was right. And now we have exactly this opportunity. We are fighting for the dignity of our people. We are fighting for the future of our economy, our communities, our democracy. We are fighting for the homes and the hearts of Europe, and it is a fight that we cannot afford to lose. Thank you.